Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back for some more EVE Online. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm making a post commentary while in the background I'm running some of the footage of stuff that I've been doing in the last couple of days. It's mostly still the same, doing some exploration, keeping up with the blueprint copies, daily PI stuff, and then I quite often go and take a look at the market in Jita as well, see if I can't do any trades, although at the moment it's mostly looking for bargains and hoping that we will be able to sell at a better price later down the line. I'm also still consolidating a lot of the stuff that I have, because I did receive a couple of donations that was mostly focused on stuff, and it's now still all over the galaxy. I'm slowly working on bringing that stuff to the trade hubs as well, but at the moment it's mostly just, you know, a routine that I've built that I do enjoy. I definitely can relax exploring into EVE Online. But I don't have any concrete medium to long-term plans for the game. And so for this video, I thought I would discuss a little bit some of my hopes for the fourth quadrant in EVE Online. Some of them I think, you know, could in all likeliness happen, because we do have a couple of hints at what's coming for this quadrant. But other than that, we don't have a lot of information on what CCP is planning for the game. And so I think it could be an interesting thought experiment to see what I'm thinking about that. And if you guys, by the way, have hopes or thoughts on what CCP could bring to the game that would make you happy in this final quadrant for 2021 that should start next month, definitely post those in the comments. I would love to read them. But let's get started with a couple of concrete things, stuff that we can absolutely expect will make it into the next quadrant, with first of all the rebalancing of the mining ships. I think that was hinted at that this was in the works, so I do expect that to come into the game, and my hope for that is that they don't completely nerf and gut the mining capabilities of the Orca. I personally do love that you have this type of end game large ship goal that can somewhat compete with the best mining yields that are out there, but it's still not the very best or anything like that, because if you would organize in a group, you would add in boosts for for stuff like the Hulk, Machina and things like that. You can absolutely get more out of every single ship in your fleet than a solo Orca pilot can. And so I still enjoy that. I enjoy from time to time jumping into the Orca, doing a little bit of mining, compressing that ore and getting it ready for the market. At the moment, prices are so low that I'm definitely still hoarding it, and it's also a little bit of preparation on potentially getting big nerfs into the mining ships. But yeah, my hope is that the nerf for the Orca is not that bad, and that we can still basically use it as our end game solo mining platform in HiSec. It is pretty much the equivalent of a capital ship, so I still think that it's a very nice goal, and that at the moment, to me personally, it doesn't feel like it's something that is completely overpowered or overtuned when it comes to the mining capabilities that it has. So it's also unique, right? It's got the drone, so you can't boost it like you can boost some of the other mining barges, and that I think is a nice enough drawback that it's, you know, for solo players that want to mine, you're still not going to get the very best that's out there, which is different when it comes to the Rorcal, of course. Next up, what I'm sort of hoping for and could perhaps happen, because we've seen it fly around before, is a new ship. I'm kind of hoping that the Triglavian transport ship can actually make it to the game. What I've been seeing lately are at least some hints that the Triglavian storyline is moving, albeit pretty slowly, but we've got those orbital shipyards that have been coming up in the Pogvin region, and then we have those hints in some of the news articles and videos from CCP that the Triglavians have started to do some back channel talks with the four empires. I think it would be very cool to move the storyline along, that all of a sudden we would get the ability to build and to fly that transport ship that they have, and that you would then slowly start to see players use that transport ship, and you would see it show up first in the big trade hubs and then eventually perhaps in other parts of the game as well, consolidating that, yeah, the Triglavians, they're not completely gone, they're still hanging around and things are happening behind the curtains there. I think it would be pretty cool. A new ship is always amazing for the game, I think, and definitely something that a lot of players would shoot for. Yeah, right, I want to have that transport ship, I want to fly around in it. It would feel and be pretty cool, would also in all likeliness be quite manageable for most players, and so yeah, I think that would be very cool. That's definitely something that I'm hoping for perhaps some more new ships, but that Triglavian transport ship, we've seen it before. I would love to actually be able to have that myself and see players fly that around into the game. After that, we get something where we honestly don't know enough about to really say for sure that it's gonna fall in this quadrant, but it has been talked about a lot and announced, of course. It is the dynamic resource system after the end of scarcity, which has been announced to be coming in this quadrant, this final quadrant for 2021 for EVE Online. So I really do hope that CCP can make that cool, can make that fun, so that there are interesting gameplay mechanics involved into the dynamic system. You know, the examples that we've been given, like super high level, not you know, that it's something that they're actually working on, but like that you would have comet-like objects that would actually go from system to system, and so you would have to chase that in order to get the resources. And perhaps it's not just straight up mining like what we know at the moment in the game, perhaps other ways that you could over farm a region and then those resources would find their way somewhere else. You would have to chase. I think, yeah, it is something that would be absolutely amazing for the game, and that could make for some pretty interesting gameplay. So hopefully we can see the dynamic resource system make it into EVE Online. If not completed, at least, you know, get some ideas as to what CCP is working on and see the first bit of the iterations that they're planning to do for dynamic resources into the game. And then if we go to the other extreme, from the more concrete stuff that we absolutely expect in Q4 to, you know, pie in the chart hopes that I have. Honestly, it's still my best time in EVE Online was when I was running all of the structures and services in detail and was able to offer that to other solo players, smaller groups, new players that then would have the advantage of having the next to free services that players could offer without having to commit themselves to having all of these structures, paying for all of that fuel and all of that stuff. And I felt that was really great, and I'm hoping that CCP can make it can bring stuff to the game that makes something like that possible. Again, at the moment, structures are just very lucrative, and as a solo player, if you put one up and you add in the core, that's just enough motivation for a lot of groups to just war deck you, destroy your structure, and say thank you for the ISK. Now, I do understand why all of these changes have come to the game. Of course, structure spam became a problem. Losing a structure was almost inconsequential, and so everyone had them. They were plastered all over space. It was something that CCP did have to handle because they have this permanent nature to them as well. They're easily also discarded and left out there forever, and so CCP did change a lot of that to make it more risky, and I'm sort of hoping that they could scale it down. I'm gonna call it like flex structures that are smaller than the structures that we know at the moment, are also not permanent or would really need like a massive cost that could perhaps even scale up if you stay for too long, or could start having negative effects if you stay too long in a single spot, but that would allow for putting something into space that other players could also, you know, have some advantage for. So this is something that, if I'm not mistaken, was hinted at as well. Smaller structures that can have an influence on a small part of the game, perhaps your system, perhaps a couple of jumps outside of your system, and that could, for instance, provide an improvement to what you can mine, or to the rats that come out, or to the exploration sites that you can find. And if then, of course, you would also have like some sort of maybe docking, tethering mechanic where you can then have some interaction in there with cool gameplay stuff, that would be very nice. It would be something that I would be very interested in as a solo player in EVE Online, something that, you know, would then eventually, of course, let's say over the course of a couple of weeks, I would have to take it down, or it would be taken down for me, and I would have to make the investment. Again, I would be absolutely fine with that. But if I could provide something for the rest of the player base while being able to stay independent, that would be very cool for me personally. And so, yeah, that would be my dream, not just a hope, but basically my dream for Q4 is that something like that would be possible. And yeah, there you go. Those are my thoughts and ideas for Quadrant 4 for EVE Online. let's hope that CCP can bring us some pretty cool information and some cool content for the game. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then maybe a final thought on that, actually, something that at the moment I'm feeling hype. It's just not for EVE, it's actually for Path of Exile. So I do feel like GGG has basically made an amazing announcement with the leak that's coming out this week, which is Path of Exile Scourge, with a big rework of the passive skill tree, interesting league mechanic, definitely a unique reward system in there as well, trimming down some of the late game grinds that you have to do for some of that stuff. And so I'm sort of hoping that CCP can also bring us something that we don't expect, that we that we get surprised by and that we can get hyped by. No idea what that would be, of course. It would have to be a surprise, but I definitely feel like GGG with Path of Exile managed to do that. It was like so much stuff all of a sudden, and whoa, that's gonna be cool. I have to try that. I want to try that. I want to see those epics. I want to see those unique items. I want to try the league. So I'm hyped for all of that stuff. And honestly, it's been a while since I've been hyped for new stuff that would be coming out into EVE Online. I think it's at the moment they've got a very good cadence. They're definitely changing the game on a very regular basis, but it's smaller stuff, right? We've got the taxes are back, and you've got the new drone swarm gameplay for capital ships. But there you go. That's your patch. That's it. So I am hoping for some bigger announcements and some real surprises and some hype for EVE Online as well in the next quadrant for the game. We will see what comes of it, of course. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.